the fact that I truly do believe that they all have intentions of revaluing gold ultimately. If you're going to tie gold to a system, whether it only be 40% or more, it
You're
has
right.
to be at a much higher level. And why could gold not be at $135,000? If it were, as insane as that sounds, our debt, our balance sheet would go from putrid to pristine just like that, and our assets would offset our liabilities. This is something that I think is possible. Now,
Gold's journey is rewriting the rules, breaking free from the shadows of traditional finance. Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, reveals insights that suggest a turning point. From massive central bank buying to hints of a dramatic revaluation, could this metal hold the secret to stabilizing a world drowning in debt? In the next few minutes, we'll uncover why gold's role could soon be far bigger and more explosive than anyone ever imagined. Buckle up, because Andy's projections on where gold could go in the next 12 months may be more startling than you'd ever think.
no, that's the pushback from a lot of people who I respect, who are more in the Bitcoin space, and I respect it. I understand it. The unit token says that these escrow accounts will be independently and continuously audited with
Hmm.
stiff penalties for deviation from the protocol and the ecosystem, with all of that information in real time on the blockchain for everyone to see. But yes, I think they're going to really have to put a lot of emphasis on the auditing process and to inspire that confidence. The fact that these tokens are deliverable upon request is also something that is, um, that's something that should mitigate the um, uh, desire, if you will, to cheat on the auditing process. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is from 100-mile high perspective, it is one of the issues that must be addressed. But I think anything is better at this point. Look, if you realize that every central bank on the planet owns gold, you can't say that about Bitcoin. And I just think that these countries realize that gold is wealth, and to tie the system to gold, have it audited continuously independently, is a far better solution than what we currently have. I don't know why they've chosen to do it this way, but I think it's much better that each country has the ability to hold it themselves rather than sending it to one central authority like we've seen literally for almost 100 years, with everyone sending their gold to the LBMA or to the Bank of England
Yeah.
uh, to have access to the LBMA, and to the New York Fed to have access on COMEX. And we've seen over 40 countries repatriate their gold, one of which was Venezuela. And the Bank of England said, no, we're not going to give it back to you. So yes, I get your point, but let's hope that they've taken that into consideration for their own good to make sure that that auditing inspires confidence. Within the next 12 months, it becomes easier to follow the commercial bank verbiage and projections of 3,100 by this time next year, which I think
Hmm.
is conservative. The money supply has increased 14-fold since 1980, and when you look at gold and silver and the way that it's traded currently in London and on the COMEX, I think these countries are using the suppression of the paper markets to their advantage, to accumulate it in copious amounts. The reason they're not complaining about the massive leverage on the LBMA, where twice global mine supply is traded every single day. In silver, it's 3.5 times annual global
Hmm.
mine supply every day. Most of these contracts are naked short. This suppression has been done for a very long time to inspire confidence in the Western system, the bond market and the currency, and they've held down the monetary metals. And it's unquestionable when you dig deep into the naked short positions on both the LBMA and COMEX that this is the case. And the rest of these countries have been using that suppression against us by massively accumulating it and repatriating it. And I guess I keep coming back to the fact that I truly do believe that they all have intentions of revaluing gold ultimately. If you're going to tie gold to a system, whether it only be 40% or more, it
You're
has
right.
to be at a much higher level. And ironically, in every single central bank balance sheet across the globe, gold is held in what is called the gold revaluation account. Roosevelt did it in 33 when he confiscated gold and then devalued the dollar by 40%, pushing the gold price from 20 to 35. And you have, like I said, the head of the Dutch National Bank who keeps saying, look, we have 20 billion in euro in gold at $35 an ounce. We should just revalue the price of gold and put it up to a level commensurate to offset our liabilities. Kristalina Georgieva says if a CBDC is not pegged to something, it's fiat. When you realize that if you take the world's GDP and the countries that comprise 99% of it, they all have CBDCs in operation or development. When you realize the BIS reclassified gold as the world's only other tier one reserve asset, all the countries are buying it. You're hearing pegging behind it. And I look to Cynthia Loomis at the Bitcoin conference in Tennessee, where she said, look, after Trump got up and said we should have a strategic account with Bitcoin, she said, yes, and I'm going to draft a bill that requests that the gold held by the Federal Reserve on behalf of the Treasury be revalued. Now, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold gives $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury General account. And
Right.
Janet wouldn't even need to get a vote of Congress, just instruct Jerome Powell to do this. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but to me, it really isn't. It's much easier path than outright default or outright hyperinflation to revalue the gold. And look, as nuts as this sounds, but it really isn't, it shouldn't be from your camp because, when you talk about Bitcoin, people have no problem seeing it at 150,000 or 300,000 or $1 million. Why could gold not be at $135,000? If it were, as insane as that sounds, our debt, our balance sheet would go from putrid to pristine just like that, and our assets would offset our liabilities. This is something that I think is possible. Now, on a microcosm scale, you see the Shanghai Metals Exchange has been pricing silver between 10 and 15% higher than it is on the West.
Yeah.
That is what the price is if you're able to buy it in the West and deliver it to China. If the Treasury said, look, we'll pay $135,000 to any nation that wants to deliver their gold to the Treasury, it indeed is that price. Now, are they going to do it to that level? Probably not. But when you see gold going to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 as a revaluation on behalf of the Western central banks and the BIS that reclassified it as the only other tier one asset, I will tell you that I do believe if it is going to be the cornerstone of this new monetary system, and it looks like it will be, at least as far as the unit, as far as the BIS, and not so sure yet here in the West, but when you see a senator from Wyoming say that, to me, it's on the table. And I think it will go higher than anyone thinks possible. But you don't buy it for that reason. You buy it because it is wealth. And the central banks know the playbook. They're the most well-informed traders in the world. The fact that they're buying at the levels they are and repatriating it the way that they are tells you that something is in store for a new system tied to gold. And I do believe it will be a marriage of blockchain technology and gold, but it will have to be at higher levels. So in a year, over 3,000 for sure. I think you'll see it over 3,000 maybe even by the end of this year. But ultimately, higher than people think possible in the face of a system that is just very long in the tooth that needs to be changed. And the only way to do it is to inspire confidence. And what better way to do it than with gold tied to blockchain technology? And if you do it at 40% at a really elevated level, you still give the politicians some monetary latitude. But not enough to just create as we are right now.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're intrigued by what's happening with gold and global finance, hit that like, subscribe button and bell icon to stay updated with the latest insights. And don't forget to check out our other videos to dive even deeper. See you in the next one.